welcome one and all to the long-awaited return of Pocket Edition. I think it's probably been about a month now, unfortunately. We apologise. We have all been very busy behind the scenes at GameCast working on some deep, I want to say dark, but it's probably not dark, secrets and projects. And today I'm joined by the GameCast faithful and also Pocket Edition faithful, Max, Amol, and Count. How are you today, guys?
Doing well.
I'm fine. Good.
Ignore Count's enthusiasm. It is overflowing. He's just had to reformat his PC, so we're lucky to have him tonight.
Don't remind me. I want to die.
It's his birthday, though, so wish him a happy birthday down below in the comments.
There's still another 20 minutes to go.
Ooh,
For
here
me,
we go. You
anyway.
might be with us for the very end. We'll hit his birthday at the very end.
Yeah, go on, sing it to me at the end of the show.
Little happy birthday outro track. Max, what are we talking about today, man?
Today we're going to be talking about publishers and developers who reveal their games too early, and then sometimes even get canceled. So PSX happened yesterday as of this recording, and while the show was kind of underwhelming, ignoring everyone's complaints about the stuff that was shown, I noticed a lot of the complaints about the show were that most of the games aren't coming until like late 2018, or we didn't really get a release date, just that it was coming in 2018. What's up with that? You know, people are complaining about this sort of stuff because it's like they see these games, they want to know when they're going to come out, because chances are, like, a lot of the games like that, they just tend to get canceled or just don't come out in general, or they don't live up to the hype that's been allowed to build for so long. And then, you know, of course, there's other games that have been around for a while, like Shenmue 3, Kingdom Hearts 3, Beyond Good and Evil 2, even Star Citizen.
Kingdom Hearts.
Right? Even Star Citizen, you know, even though I guess technically you could play that game, quote unquote, does that make it any better? It's become kind of an annoyance. And, you know, you have companies like Bethesda, well, despite a lot of the other bullshit they do, at least they announce a game and it comes out in like 4 or 5 months. That's awesome. You know, we just saw Square Enix announce, they tweeted out a couple days ago, they're like, hey guys, just want to let you know we're not officially announcing it yet, but we're working on a new Tomb Raider experience and we're going to wait to officially reveal it until a few months before it comes out. We'll let you know more in early 2018. Like, that's awesome right there, you know? We know it's going to come out and it'll be out in a couple of months. That's great. What is that a better way to handle games? Because I feel like nowadays hype doesn't need to be built up. You know, everyone knows everything right away. They see everything on the internet. Like, you can announce a game like a month or two ahead of time and everyone who would want to buy it will have heard about it by then. You know what I mean? It's not something that really... Hype isn't so much of a thing anymore with just the way news is spread nowadays. It's just people know what they want.
Yeah, and I think hype is almost like a limited resource for people as well. You can only get excited about so much. And when everybody's like dropping their kind of announcements, you know, 2 to 3 years from now, like that's getting a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
For me, like 2018, like that's not so much a big deal. Like, I'm okay if we don't get solid dates. Like, if somebody announced a game now for 2018, I'll be like, oh, okay, like great, because I'm so used to hearing games like 2 to 3 years from now. Like, that's, you know, the extreme end of the spectrum for me, where I completely agree. Like, that's too long. Just wait. But I think this idea of announcing a game so early is them trying to almost plant a flag in the ground to say, all right, this is my land and real estate that I'm launching the game around. But, you know, in terms of hype, it's too long. Like, you can announce a game too early and the hype will fizzle out if you don't get your game out. And I love the way Bethesda do it too. I think that's perfect because we know they alternate between Elder Scrolls and Fallout. People can look at their calendars now and we know when we're going to get more than likely the next Elder Scrolls game based on their track record with previous games. So I think that's their luxury. You know, that's their business model because we know. But I agree, it's too early. Like, just relax. Unless you're Nintendo, then holy fuck, please just tell us something. Even if it's like a loose, like 2018, 2019, just tell us something. Like, we're flying blind.
Well, I guess the worry is even more so like, what if the game gets delayed or canceled and then it's just like, ugh.
Crackdown 3, perfect example.
Yeah, like Crackdown 3. Or even, honestly, Final Fantasy 15 was a big one. You know, that game got, like, canceled, then came back, had name changes, everything. The fact that that game even came out and is good in the first place is a miracle in and of itself. You know, that's not an original thought by any means, but just the fact that that sort of issue happened, that I hate that that's an issue. Even the Final Fantasy VII remake, that's an issue in and of itself. Kingdom Hearts 3, like we mentioned earlier, like, they even came out and said they probably announced it too early. Like, we all knew it was, like, coming, quote unquote. You know what I mean? Like, we all knew a Kingdom Hearts 3 was coming eventually. This isn't Half-Life 3 style shit. We are still getting Kingdom Hearts games in the franchise. You know, you could say, hey, we're working on it. That's it. Like, we know they're working on a Pikmin 4 just because the director said, oh yeah, we're working on it. That's it. That's fine.
That's it. That's all we need to know. We don't need teaser trailers. We don't need a snippet of half-baked gameplay. Just little tweet, little post. That's it. But I wonder how much of this kind of, as well, announcing their game so far out is perhaps appeasing shareholders.
Yeah.
It generates hype and excitement around their brand and, you know, the publisher and the developer. They don't look at a game as going, all right, well, here's our launch window. This is where we need to hit everything home. They look at the entire overall production of the game, and they try to make that entire overall production period perhaps profitable to a degree to generate hype that surely plays into appeasing shareholders and, you know, hopefully increasing their shares. And I wonder as well how much isn't so much the third-party publishers, but also maybe, you know, the publishers in just Sony and Microsoft. Do they have a different business model when it comes to announcing the first-party IPs and their deals? Because I know Sony gets a lot of flack for announcing their games quite far out without a lot of confirmed dates, which, again, I am okay with to a certain degree because, you know, I wish this is something Nintendo would do more because, you know, we know what we're getting next year from Sony, even if we haven't got dates. And even into early 2019, we know what we're getting, which is okay to a degree. But I wonder how much it does come down to different business models between Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo as well.
That's a great point, actually. And, you know, it's kind of funny to bring up Nintendo as well because, you know, we have Metroid Prime 4 coming. We have Pokemon coming. We have... what's the third title? There's a third big title coming that everyone's waiting for. I can't think of it. It was at E3. But anyways...
That narrows it down.
But anyway, there's like a balance to strike here. And yeah, you're right. The different business models definitely play into it. And it kind of sucks because it's like, how do you do it right? You know, we were talking about CD Projekt Red before this recording. And, you know, with Cyberpunk 2077, we knew that was coming shortly after Witcher 3 was released. Did we even know about it beforehand? Maybe even before it released. Anyways, we knew it was coming for a while, but they haven't done much aside from just reassure us it's coming. And I think that that's more than enough. I haven't seen anyone complaining about that. I haven't seen anyone necessarily being like, oh, this game's going to die out or anything, or it's not actually going to come out. That's what's kind of annoying. Like, I was reading Beyond Good and Evil 2 came out with an update yesterday, an update video. And all the comments, granted it's YouTube, all the comments are like, oh, this game's dead. This game is too big to come out. Like, there's no way in hell this is actually going to happen. It's too ambitious, this, that, and that. And, like, that's bad press in a way. I feel like that puts people's mindsets just in a negative place from the start. Or
I think also,
in the opposite effect. Go ahead.
I think it also sort of raises people's expectations a bit too much.
Exactly.
You go, oh my god, this game is going to be so amazing because, oh my god, no one could possibly understand.
Yeah. The hype train is, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Like, if your game is actually a killer app and it can stand on its own and prove and earn its hype, then yeah, but power to you, you've won the game. But hyping up a half-baked product where, you know, you have every intention of releasing it in the originally envisioned form and it never quite reaches it, you're going to cop flack. You know, you hype people to that extent, yeah, you're going to have blowback. But, you know, curious enough, like, how much is, no matter what the publicity is pre-launch, you know, whether it be bad publicity or good publicity on YouTube, do you guys all remember the Call of Duty Infinity Warfare trailer? How that was the most thumbed down video in history? That fucking first-person shooter title, that Call of Duty entry, still, I believe, I could be wrong, what I heard, this is secondhand information, was still the best-selling shooter title of that year.
Because it's Call of Duty.
Yeah, go figure, you know?
Because it appeals to the people that don't care.
Yeah, it appeals to the people who don't look at YouTube trailers for games. It appeals to the people who just go, I want to play the next Call of Duty game.
Yeah, the mass market do not care about what happens on Reddit. They don't follow the YouTube trends. That's us. You know, we're like the extremists on the inside.
The Uber gamers.
But I wonder how much of the hype also... how much can you blame the fans for it and how much can you blame the publishers and developers for it? Like, this is just a theory. I have no basis on this whatsoever. But I just wonder how much of Valve's decision just not to come out with Half-Life 3 is based on they know no matter what they release, players will not, like, it just won't live up to the hype. Like, I wonder if the reason they're holding back is simply because they didn't have good enough ideas and then they just gave up on it. Because there have been rumors, there have been leaks about people working on the title. Like, it's not like the title has never been worked on. I doubt they just said, oh, fuck it, we're not going to make a Half-Life 3, you know? Like, there had to have been some lead up to that. It's possible it's still in development right now, you know? I would actually bet that it probably is. I wouldn't be surprised if Half-Life 3 is in some way, shape, or form being worked on.
Bullshit. I think the files are on some sort of hard drive in Valve
Collecting
headquarters
dust.
somewhere. Just, yeah, exactly. Collecting dust. Just like, no.
I agree with Count.
But if that's the case,
It's not
If
gonna
that's the
happen.
case, is it because of the fan hype? How much does that factor in, do you guys think, if at all?
I think the hype absolutely plays a big part. But I think Valve, they knew what they had with Half-Life 2. They knew how much excitement they had around number 3. And as a developer, you have to back that up. You have to one-up the next title. And you had Gabe hyping it and talking about it for many years when it was in development. And I think a point in time just came where, Steam took off. They started working on Source 2. And you're probably right. They probably didn't have the ideas to back Half-Life 2 up. They probably knew they weren't going to, reinvent the wheel again. And I think a point in time comes where it became a bad business decision to continue development on Half-Life 3. And it just becomes irrelevant. It's irrelevant. There's no point. That's why they don't talk about it anymore. That's why Gabe doesn't talk about it. I think it is dead.
He's asked people to stop talking about it.
Well, the theory is though they make more money. They make more money at the moment from free-to-play games like Dota 2. They make more money from that than they could ever make from.
If they were to release Half-Life 3, it wouldn't be for the money. It would be for the fans. And I don't think they're going to release anything for the fans unless they actually give the fans what they deserve and want, which is a better game than Half-Life 2.
Which is going to be hard because Half-Life 2 still, for the most part, holds up.
It does. I replayed it 2 Christmases ago. I 100%ed it and everything. It's fun as hell still.
Yeah, holds up. It's a good game still.
It's a shame they blew their Portal idea load on Portal. They should just roll that into Half-Life 3. Done.
Well, the universes are
Stop reminding me that Portal exists because it's such a good game.
Yeah, it is. Well, I was always, I guess I still haven't completely given up on this theory, but I was always under the impression that, fuck you, no. I was always under the impression that if they want to reinvent the wheel, they could wait for VR to become like a thing, because they've invested in VR. Valve has, actually, do you guys remember this? Last year, they straight up said they're working on 3 new IPs for VR. Like, they said they were working on games for VR, like straight up. So I've always thought that once VR becomes like extremely viable and not so much gimmicky, which it's on its way to, it's going to get to that point. It's already past the gimmick point, but once it becomes like as viable as a controller, I wouldn't be surprised if that's when we saw like Half-Life 3. That would be them reinventing the wheel, and maybe they could live up to that hype. Maybe it's just the tech that isn't there.
I think you're right that they do want to create a new experience that's exclusive for VR where they do reinvent the wheel to a degree. But
that was always the point of the Half-Life games.
In terms of VR being a gimmick, I think we're absolutely past that phase, but I'm not convinced VR is going to hit that kind of tipping point, even remotely soon, where it's going to make sense to develop an experience just for VR where you're going to get a return on your investment. I think it would still be for the fans. And I think VR is going to be a niche product for a very long time. Long time.
I'd agree with
Still
that.
amazing.
And that's the thing.
Still amazing though, yeah.
But that's the thing, I guess, too, is Valve was always kind of seen as that company that like did it for the fans. Took a risk, did it for the fan. Even though, to be fair, they're very safe. Like, their games always took forever to come out. They were always very safe. And they were like one of the only companies, I'd say Blizzard is arguably one of the only other companies that could live up to the level of hype that their games would generate. But the thing is, Sully, you were right in that to a point, it just became a better business sense for Valve to just not do that anymore, because doing it for the fans is cool and everything, because they were always seen as that company, but they also made like the money back on it. And like you said, like Count just said, the free-to-play games, it just makes more money for them. There's no point for them to be doing that. You can't expect a company to be quote-unquote doing it for the fans forever. Like, that's just not how it works. Like, I get it.
I think the disappointing thing is with Valve is that they do make, we only assume, because it has been around for a long time now, that they're making money hand over fist with Steam, right? And it is disappointing that they're in such a financial position where they wouldn't be prepared to do more for the fans like they once did once upon a time. That's the disappointing thing for me.
I feel that. And I wonder, to circle back to the point, I wonder, I just have to know, how much does that affect anything, if anything at all, the hype sort of stuff? Because I get the money, but imagine if they announced even a Portal 3 right now. Like, we'd be fucking over the moon.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
Even
yeah.
just being able to play it in, the HTC Vive would be great. Even if it isn't, some revolutionary experience for the headset, it would still be amazing. But I think it is. It just comes down to, I think, their business model has changed drastically since, they've stopped creating their first-party IPs and now they've got Steam. And I think it is the hype too. I just don't think they can deliver.
And, they had all those employees leave over the past couple of years, most of the writers, so they probably don't even have the people that can deliver on that hype anymore.
Definitely. All right, well, this brings us to, I guess, the final word of the show. Any last little bits and pieces you guys want to circle back around to or throw in?
Calm down on the hype train, both customers
Yes,
and
please.
developers. It's a bit silly. Like,
It is.
I get that you're excited. I get that. That's great. Maybe temper and lower your expectations.
For your
Be
own
like
good.
me. If you expect it to go poorly, you won't be disappointed when it doesn't.
Yes. If Count gets too hyped, we put him in a salt grinder and we grind some salt out.
Exactly.
Also, I just have to say, I meant to bring this up earlier too, really quickly, that don't announce your games so early, because there are so many games coming out nowadays. Like, everyone's playing catch up from 2 years ago. We don't have time to be excited and remember all the little details about your game. Like, announce it in a reasonable time frame if you can. Obviously, sometimes things go wrong and you may have to delay it for a month or two. That happens. Like, if you can, just wait a little bit. There's too much going on in the world now. We don't have time to wait 3 years for a game. Or 3 years. Yeah, 3 years for a game from its announcement to details. It's just not a thing anymore. No one wants to do that. Times have changed. Times are different. Like Valve.
I know, it's so depressing, some of these games, how far out they are. I look at some of these games, I'm like, I'm going to be over 30 by then. Oh, that's my final say.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's wrap it up, guys. So, as usual, please remember to leave your thoughts and comments below down in the description. How does the hype train affect you? Are you a regular rider, or do you temper yourself like Count? Please let us know down below. Remember to wish Count a happy birthday. Happy birthday, Count. We've been going for over 20 minutes,
Happy
so it should
birthday,
be your
Count.
birthday now.
1 minute too. I'll give it to you. It's close
20
enough.
seconds. 20 seconds, according
Yeah,
to
literally.
my...
No, I've got 10 seconds.
Oh, damn. All right, well, we'll wrap it up. So please remember to check out Count, myself, and Max. Our links will be down below in the description. If you enjoyed this episode of Pocket Edition, you can find more content like this on the GameCast YouTube channel, which will also be linked down below. And lastly, happy birthday, Count, and we will see you guys in the next Pocket Edition episode. Catch you later.